Check this out.
They're shooting at Nico. Huh? They're having a shootout. Hey.
This man attacked the driver, and in response, the driver chased down the assailant.
Oh shit!
This man was out for a walk with his dog when he heard the sound of a gunshot.
Good morning, everyone. I know, another touchy subject. And I'm sorry, I just wanted to put a message out there to all you who are forced to live in these war combat zones. And it's not just in poverty levels. My parents moved me out of poverty to try to get away from that kind of thing and into the suburbs where it was just as bad. And that was in the 70s and 80s. So it's worse now. These parents making more money and getting their children out of poverty is not rescuing their children from these gangs. These gangs are getting control of your children because they're tired of being assaulted. I guess it's the word I'm looking for. I can't find the right word for it. But when a parent comes at a child aggressively, and I do mean aggressive, not forcefully, aggressively, you have shut down communication, and you have now made that child a victim of whatever is going to come out of your mouth next. Because you're out of control. And I know this because I was that kind of parent. I recognized it because my children did not let me turn a blind eye to it. They did not allow me that kind of denial, and I'm grateful. Because the way my children are raising their children is far better than what I did. Far better. And that's all you can hope for in this world. So if you're a parent of a gang child, you know you have neglected your child too long. You have neglected their emotional needs that they need from you. I'm not saying condone their behavior. By all means, do not. And allow them the consequences of their actions. Don't protect them from the consequence of their actions unless it's going to get them killed. Then it's your job to protect. But it's other than that, it's not. We have to teach our children to make better choices by making better choices as adults. That's the only way. That is the only way to stop these gangs. Now, I've lived in these combat zones until just a few years ago when my mother passed away and left me a home. That allowed me to move out of there. It was terror all the time. I had to watch over my grandchildren and my children. You know, being rudely awoken by your husband in the middle of the night as he shoves you on the floor and then lays on top of you because bullets are going off right behind our house. And we did have bullets come through our walls, and we're lucky no one was hit. But we had a routine that we practiced just for those events because of where we lived. We heard gunshot, hit the floor, stay there. Hit that floor. Don't go for light switches. Don't lock your doors. Don't play with windows. Hit the damn floor. And stay there. If you hear no more gunshots, then you know, well, either the police are coming or whatever gang members were trying to dispute with each other was over. But it didn't mean you were safe. After you hear those sirens, you could get up and an adult could get up and survey around the perimeter and see if it was safe for everybody else to get up off the floor. I know you don't like this advice. Well, why should I have to, Well, because they are making you. That's why you should have to. And if you don't practice safety with your family in a combat zone, you're going to get shot, be on the news, and the world's going to go, oh, what a pity. But nobody is going to help your family. Keep them from being the next victims. Look, there are some really, really bad people in this world, and they don't give a crap about you, your family, or even their own families. All they care about is trying to cause as much destruction as they can until it takes them out. And those people are so damaged. They're so damaged. There's no return for them. They have no value of themselves or life. You can't help them. But the people who are around them, those children in those gangs, where are the parents? It's your job. Don't blame it on society when you didn't bother to raise your child, to not be violent, to not steal, to not harm others. That is your responsibility as a parent. And all these crybabies out there, oh, it's out of my hands. It is not. You just want someone else to do it for you. So you're crying, it's out of my hands. Let me tell you something. It's 100% in your hands. And what you do with it will dictate the future of your children. I have been in this terror. I lived it my whole life. But I didn't make those gangs my enemies by playing a Karen or a Curtis or whatever they're calling the men today. I didn't do that. I looked for ways to reach them so I could feel safe. And one day, I saw a 14-year-old boy with a gun. It was in the back of his pants. He was bent over my dumpster, digging for food. Food I had thrown out because it was too old, expired food for anybody to eat, not safe for anybody. And when I saw this, more than once, I began making food plates and tying them in bags and putting notes on them. If you're hungry, take this. And they did. And then I saw more and more kids coming to my dumpster. And we were poor. We were so poor. Barely had food for us. And these kids, these amazing kids who are armed, would sit around my house and protect my home from the other gangs. They played with my grandchildren and protected them from traffickers. We had nothing worth stealing, so nobody ever broke in our home. But when these kids needed an ear to talk about what was happening at home, why they couldn't be there instead, I gave them my ear to listen. This is how you're going to reach them. Stop trying to do what everybody else is doing and continue the war and continue the combat. Start using your human brain and save our own species. This is where it begins, is at the bottom, not the top. The top is corrupted. It is full of greed and harbors ill will towards humanity. And you can see it in every law they pass. You can see it in every policy they enforce. And you can see it by the medical care that is received in the poorer populations. I watched my mother have wonderful medical care. She worked over 40 years to have, and it barely took care of her. Barely took care of her. When I needed full-time home nurses, no, her insurance wouldn't cover, and that meant I had to be the full-time nurse, as is my responsibility. She is my mother. She cared for me, she cared for her husband, and she cared for her grandchildren. The least I could do was to care for her. She taught me kindness. She also taught me logic and how to take my brain out of its rage and come back into a rational mind. So I owed her so much more than I was able to give. Remember that when you're living in these combat zones or you're judging the people who are living in them. Those people are still your responsibility. They are people, humans, your fellow kind. Stop making them your enemy and look to a brighter future for everyone. I love y'all so very much. My heart has tried to stop loving you. I can't. I want you to make the best world our species could live on. I'm counting on it. And if we don't do that before we get to the stars, there are other species going to take us out because we're too dangerous. I love y'all. And I hope you have a great day. But please think about all this. It's well worth your consideration. Have a good day.